Hello, my fellow light makers. How are you? It is I, Malcolm Grissom, the stand-up CEO, host of the Lighten Project, and founder of the World Laughter Organization. Well, today on the Lighten Project, I am going to go ahead and answer some questions I got from some public speakers addressing how to add humor, authentic humor, to their speeches. And I thought I'd share it with you today because even if you're not a public speaker, it's really about how to add authentic humor to your conversations or your life or your leadership. So it does apply to all y'all. First, let's get a clear definition of humor for this context especially. So if you go back and listen to my second episode, it is about humor. I define what humor is using the analogy of a family tree. It's the humor tree. I call it. It's the humor tree. So humor, let's look at it as an overall overarching family. Humor. And the tree has several branches. What we are going to be talking about today is the comedy branch and the play branch. Now, the comedy branch is the branch where we use techniques, we use writing to form comedy, to take our ideas, our humorous ideas, and write them and rewrite them into comedy and make them funnier, not funniness. Well, sometimes, funny to begin with, or funnier, because we might start out with a comic idea, comedic idea, humorous idea. The portion of the tree that I want to focus on right now, especially, is the play branch, because it's the play branch that leads to our authentic humor. We're all born with a sense of humor. We all are humorous. There's a lot of people out there that think, oh, I'm not funny, I can't do that. Oh, how can I write a humorous speech when I'm not funny? I'm just not that funny. I'm not a comedian. I can't ride. I can't ride a bike, much less, no. I can't much less write humor. Okay. I understand. There's a lot of anxiety and fear built around being funny. But don't think of it as being funny. Think of it as being amusing, being humorous, being playful. We all can do that. We all have a sense of play. It may be hidden from some of us because it's been conditioned out of us throughout our childhoods and adulthoods, but it's there. We still have that sense of play. Think of growing up and playing in a sandbox. No one had to tell you what to do. You did that from amusement. Maybe it wasn't laugh, ha, 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 ha. But It was amusing. There was enjoyment. There was play. Even pets have play. Now, the first question that I got was, how can I find humor that feels authentic to me instead of being someone that I'm not? I'm not a comedian. Okay, well, this is exactly what I'm saying. Let's look at the humor branch. It's play, or not the humor branch, the play branch. It's all about play. It's all about enjoyment, so being amusing. And this is a great way to approach adding authentic humor to your speech, because whether it's verbal or physical, then comedy, which is what we're aiming for, comedy is developed from our authentic, playful sense of humor. Right? So let's focus on the playful sense of humor, because comedy is the written form of humor. Let's take the pratfall, the physical comedy. It's a written form of physical comedy based on the basic joke structure. So you have a setup leading to an anticipation, and in this case, it would actually be someone walking down the street. You anticipate them to continue walking straight, to continue doing what they're doing, but instead, it's a misdirection. They fall down. That way, fall down. There's the misdirection. There's the comedy and the pratfall. We'll get to talking about comedy a little later. Authenticity, though, isn't written. So anything written will never be 100% real. Never. Even the skilled comedian who tells the written joke over and over and practices it over and over and can tell it naturally, even that comedian telling that joke will never be as authentic as a child at play. Of course, that same comedian can then, after telling that joke, take a moment of purely spontaneous and authentic play. You'll find that the authentic humor, you'll find that humor by, again, avoiding trying to be funny. Don't write jokes. Be yourself. Be amusing. Have fun. That's key. Have fun, because I'm sure your audience would rather be having fun than listening to jokes. And notice that I said your audience would probably prefer having fun. And that is because if you're having fun, so is your audience. They're mirroring what you do. And so audiences are drawn to speeches and to presenters and leaders who are being real, being honest, having fun, and being vulnerable. Even more so than those who are telling stories written full of written jokes, or begin a speech with a joke, with a written joke, or anywhere in your speech, not just the beginning. So if you want to find your authentic humor, don't start with jokes. There are two key elements to look for when mining for authentic humor. The first element is emotions. Focus on your emotion. Go through your speech, your story, your conversations, and look at the emotions. Now, Judy Carter breaks it down very simply. She focuses more on the comedy writing aspect. That's her goal, is comedy writing. But she does break down the emotions very well. She says, look for what you find as either hard, weird, scary, or stupid. Hard, weird, scary, or stupid. Now, those are wonderful, 4 very basic emotions, and it's wonderful to start with them because they're simple, and also because each of them have a negative substructure, and it's human nature to look at the negative first. I'm sure if you look in the mirror, you're going to notice your flaws before you notice how beautiful you are. At least I do. I notice the fact that I'm fat and I'm getting fat, Remember, though, we are focusing on play. So not only do we want to look at those negative emotions, those are great to start with, but we also want to consider what makes us happy. Consider the, not real jokes, but consider the moments of those comedic or humorous, I should say, those humorous moments in stories or in skits or in movies that are built from being proud. Like, yes, I am the sexiest man on earth. I am a Greek god. I am so sexy. Women are attracted to me like, on what. Or something like that. That is stemmed or based from something that I'm proud of, something that I'm happy. It's an exaggeration, of course, but that's where the original thought comes from, the original emotion. So hard, weird, scary, or stupid, but also look at happy. If you want to authentically, you want to add those authentic, funny moments to your speech, focus, again, I've said this before, I'm going to keep repeating it, focus on being amusing first. Being amusing. Focus on being amusing. Now, the second element is dialogue. Dialogue. See, humor and comedy are in the specifics. And dialogue not only provides specifics, but it's also engaging. So today, I only want to discuss 3 types of dialogue where you can find humor. 3 types. There are many, many more, but only 3 types today, and that is the monologue, the inner dialogue, and the character dialogue. Now, the monologue is the speaker speaking directly to the audience. But since the monologue and narration are both presented by the speaker addressing the audience directly, let me contrast the two. So narration describes action. It's speaking from outside the action. Dialogue speaks from within it. It's being in the moment. It's relating to the audience what is happening in that moment, the dialogue in that moment. Inner dialogue, then, is the speaker articulating those voices in their head, while character dialogue is the dialogue between 2 characters, both portrayed by the speaker. So now you have 2 elements to look for to add to your speeches. This is where the authentic humor is going to come from. It's going to come from looking for those amusing moments and the emotion, especially the emotion, and looking for places where you can add dialogue. Emotion and dialogue. So I was also asked where is a good place to where in your speech should you place humor? Where's the best placement of humor? And my answer about placement is that it's all about timing. Now, sometimes opening a speech with a quick laugh is great because once you get that laugh, it relaxes both the speaker and the audience. Laughter itself, it reduces the cortisol, the stress hormone, and laughter also increases the oxytocin, that feel-good hormone. But beware, because the opening joke could backfire, or it could work as a canned joke, but the audience could tell that it's canned, or they could tell that it's a joke. It doesn't sound honest and vulnerable to the audience, even if they think it's funny, right? And that is not necessarily where you want to begin your speech. You want to begin your speech from an inviting point of view, from an engaging point of view, which is why looking at emotion, looking at dialogue is a much better way to start a speech. And hey, storytelling. Remember we had some people talk about storytelling? Storytelling is a great place to add a speech. So now getting back to timing. Now I'm going to talk a little more about that comedy branch. Remember, I was saying that the basic structure of a joke is that you, the speaker, set up the audience to anticipate something. You set up an anticipation and then misdirect, right? That's the basic structure of a joke. And so when you can find that in your speeches, in your conversations, in your leadership, that's really the best placement for your humor, for your amusing moments, right? For your funny moments, because you want to misdirect the audience. Now, I'm going to read for you the beginning of a speech that I wrote. It's about my experience, my first significant experience moving to Missouri from California. And I want you to notice how I'm using emotion and some other techniques, dialogue, some of the other things that we talked about to add humor or at least amusement to my speech, to my opening. And I'd like you to then, after I give this, I'd like you then to look at it and think about where would you make it more funny? Or first, where was the funny? Where was what I was talking about? Or again, not the funny necessarily, but where were the amusing moments? Where were some of those techniques that I was talking about? Where did I use them? Okay? All right. I got a job! Finally! Oh, can you recall that feeling when you finally nail something after failing over and over and over, that pure, unadulterated rush of winning after losing a long string of losses? Do you recall that? That's how I felt last April. I thought to myself, thank you, Lord. I knew you had my back. Okay, let me set the scene. I had recently moved from California. I moved to Kansas City from California. I bought a BMW. I found a luxury apartment to rent. And then, snow. My first ever winter working in snow. But it wasn't that bad. At first I thought, man, I've got this. It's not nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. Then I slipped and broke my ankle. I got a welcome to Missouri winter broken ankle. I thought I was going to spend the beginning of 2025 having to audition for Man Who Lives in His Car, the musical. Because I had nothing. no disability insurance, no job. All I had was a good singing voice. My car, I'm going to live in my car. I'll lose my luxuries. Oh, wait. I drive a BMW. Which means even if I lose my home, I'll still be living in luxury. All right. Where in that speech can you see some of the things that I've talked about? The emotion, the dialogue. Where can you see the joke structure? There are 2 steps that I want to leave you so you can find your funny foundation. First, start keeping a humor journal. Go through your days and write down things that people say that are funny or amusing. Things that get a laugh or not, just amusing. They're different. They're interesting. And don't analyze these things. Don't think, okay, why is that funny? Don't think, well, I think that's funny right now, but other people won't think it's funny. Or just write them down. Those amusing and playful things that people say, write it down. And look for moments too and ideas that, again, what you're looking for is playful and funny and are playful and amusing, right? Not necessarily funny. Don't overanalyze things. Just write things down. Secondly, record yourself in conversations. Again, humor is found in the specifics and in your emotions. Remember the hard, weird, scary, stupid, and happy. Those specifics are found in everyday conversations. We're not trying to be funny. We're not trying to be humorous. We're not trying to be amusing most times. So listen to that and record that. Record that and then go back and listen to it. And then you have some ideas, or you can find some ideas to add to your speeches or your conversations or your leadership moments. So thanks all for listening to today's episode of the Lighten Up Project. I hope that you found something helpful, something interesting. And if you did, please share it with others. Share this and help us build up the Lighten Up Nation. Thank you, and once again, come on back next time. But until then, remember, small moments can make great changes in your life. Even those small moments. A smile can open a door. A laugh can open a heart. And a small step can lead to a great victory. So lighten up, y'all. Because healing doesn't have to be heavy. Stressed out, stuck, or leading on autopilot? It's not a motivational problem, it's a connection problem. My weekly virtual improv classes boost engagement, collaboration, and retention, all while having fun. Register now for a complimentary month.